I prefer to layer stuff and have it heal and come back and layer it. So obviously that's, more challenging for people who are traveling. So we try to really like knock out as much as possible in those kind of sessions.
Cool.
But, it's definitely a process. I mean, I wouldn't start something this big on somebody who wasn't really comfortable, either traveling frequently or who was like local.
Sure. It's hard to tell if this was her first tattoo, but it seems like it's your only tattoo I
think
can
that
see.
might have been her first tattoo. She's gotten more work since, and we actually just did a sort of a half sleeve with a lot of negative space as well.
Isn't that amazing? People are getting this shit as their first tattoo.
I know. Go big or go home.
I love that. I think I spent my first 5 years like testing the waters. I got like all these little small tattoos in these large spaces of skin. So then when I figured it out, I had to go back over it all. It's like, now I got to work in all this tiny little shit that's in the wrong spot. This is great. What was your first tattoo?
Oh my God. My first tattoo was, it was on my stomach, which is really inadvisable. And I had researched it for a long time. It's from that, I forget who's the artist. Oh my God, I'm blanking on the artist name. But it's that like really nice like fairy book. It's like the
Freud.
Yeah, I think it's Froud.
Brian Froud.
Sure, that's who it was. And it was a beautiful design, but it's a bit of a juvenile tattoo as well. But whatever. So I went to Canada, which is right over the 10 minutes from my house growing up in Buffalo, and one of my friends was getting tattooed pretty regularly in Toronto, and she was probably maybe 16, 15. I was 15 as well. And I think it was 16 was the legal age there, but she took me to a place, like my mom was there visiting friends, and I was just like, hey, I'm going to go hang out with my friend for the day. And she took me to this like dungeon themed tattoo place that had fiberglass gargoyles all over the place.
Awesome.
And it was so over the top. It was hilarious. And ceiling mirrors. So I was actually able to watch him tattoo. Oh, wow. I was smoking in the chair. I mean, it was
smoking as an underage
for the days, Yeah. And but needless to say, the person who's willing to tattoo someone that young and also as a walk-in.
Yeah, right.
Not the best artist. So we kind of butchered it, and it hurt a lot. And it was supposed to have color in it. And I think I was like, he got the outline done. I was like, I'm good. Like, let's just leave that alone.
Finish off the experience.
Yeah, that was fine. And it wasn't so horrible, but I ended up covering it up. So that's my Rorschach cover up that I did on myself, because I was pretty reluctant to not only have somebody else tattoo me there, but it took me a long time. I got tattooed a couple times by people, and all the experiences were pretty negative. So I wanted to, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted to tattoo myself and to become a tattooer, was so that I could realize the ideas that I had.
Obviously it was a completely different world, in tattooing 25 years ago. Was it like bikers treating women poorly? Was it just treating everybody poorly? Or
I think it was treating everybody poorly. Probably. I'm sure there's there's obviously also sexism, but it wasn't. It was a much more closed society, if we could call it that. It was not the same at all. I mean, God, the guy who tattooed me in Toronto was nice enough. Like, it was really a ridiculous situation. But there just really fundamentally weren't a lot of options artistically. And partly because of like small-mindedness, and also because of like it had been relegated to such a small community of people as practitioners for such a long time that they weren't necessarily the most artistic people. It was more of a trade, craftsman playing a trade, and something that was passed down technically. Even sometimes that wasn't,
right. It was fun. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just going to say there was a thread that was on one of the forums where someone was like, it was like a younger woman who was looking over the shoulder of her friend getting tattooed, and the tattooer was like, you don't need to know how to draw the tattoo. And my instinctual reaction, I mean, me, like I'm hanging out with like arty types like all day long. And I love walk-ins, and I love script. I mean, and I'm an advocate. If somebody wants faith upside down on their wrist, then fucking give them a really awesome faith upside down on the wrist and let them know where to come back to get it covered later.
Absolutely.
But
it's your body, and like you should get whatever you want on it, of course. But but there should be options. I mean, that
right.
should be the goal. Is like art is an extremely broad concept. Like it shouldn't be limited, to any one subjective preference, I think so.
Oh, agreed. And I do think that that is busting wide open. I'm on the Google news feed, so that it sends me all the headlines for tattoos. And now certainly like the most celebrity, stupid celebrity tattoos and tattoos that get people caught for crimes, are the most of the headlines. But at least twice a week now, there's a shop that's opened up by either a woman or LGBTQ plus that's specifically creating a space that is comfortable for them and their culture and for other people other than and obviously it's not just heavy metal shops and biker shops anymore, but it is really encouraging to see how everyone can use tattooing to enable themselves with art.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's fantastic. And I mean, I want everybody to have their own comfortable niche, that's what's so cool about it. It's such an individual expression, and it's an ancient art form that is like, universally practiced pretty much among humans. So
I appreciate the fact that those mummies were found with tattoos and cannabis buried with them.
Right.
But let's fire up. We do actually. It'll be exciting. You'll be happy. We have some real awesome academics coming to the BYOB.
Cool. Wow.
And there's one panel that's on Wednesday that it's like an all-star academic panel. It's probably one of the most knowledgeable tattoo panels that exists, like just because they're all fucking professors that study this shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. So I'm gonna fire off some of these tattoos here, and I realized I do have some questions in my script here, and I might as well as ask them. So we haven't really talked about some of those some of your art inspirations, and as you were saying, when you were starting off tattooing, there weren't a ton of options. There weren't too many people. Were there some people that stood out back then that care to let us know about? Or
there were definitely people who were pushing boundaries in different ways. I wouldn't say there was someone who was doing exactly what I wanted to do myself, which is why I wanted to do it, right? But I mean, Guy obviously was like an early inspiration and definitely a source of education, which was really a lucky break for when I was getting into it, that he was like starting to really push in a direction that was not traditional.
Sure.
Yeah.
He took a lot of heat for that too, eh?
I'm sure he did. Yeah. And that was a real thing back then. And even up till quite recently, if not still to this day, there's a ton of pushback on unorthodox tattooing, which is kind of silly to even call it that, because it's only unorthodox within this country, and a specific set of a specific paradigm, so whatever, right? But
I love that. Actually, it's one of the reasons I love the Castro, the Live in the Castro. It's like the LGBTQ plus. It's almost like somehow inside of this tattoo world, it's all about not giving a fuck and being exactly who you want to be, and literally changing your body to be who you want to be, and to bring this all out. Like they're like they're like the rebels inside of that. As far as some of the old school bikery types might be concerned, and it's fun. It's fun to be like the rebels inside of the rebels. I mean, I imagine it's better to be accepted, but
well, it's easier to be accepted. But I don't know if it's better, because I think it's what it's character building, right? To have to suffer adversity. But I mean, I don't know. I think it helps you to be independent and think differently. And I don't know. You're only going to innovate if you're forced to. I mean, that's the thing about traditional stuff. I mean, it can be great, but a lot of it is repetitive. And it's not innovating by definition. So,
I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? Like, and the more of the traditional people, like that's not their intention, right? Their intention is to do the best, right. Tattoo, and technically, it's way hard. It is harder, right? Because if you fuck up that line or you blow it out, like you're not shading up to it, you're not like working around it, like that. That if that nose is like a straight black line, or then you don't fuck it up. If you're shading around or whatever, but
It's not as
But
malleable.
a lot of tattoo clients don't want innovation, right? So that's the beauty of it. And but what they
Exactly.
want is a clean, awesome tattoo.
Right, right. I remember. I mean, that was the whole point of a flash shop back in the day. Was like people coming in picking. You know, a lot of time it would be people wanting the same design so many times that you would just have a flash sheet of it. Because why would you
Right.
draw times? You know, and have people come in wanting that flash that they saw at the beach. That wondering if you had that particular design, kind of thing. I mean, that was really the most common application. So.
I always I hate making jokes at a client's expense, but I do always laugh when people are like, sorry, out of stars today.
No, there's some great
All done.
jokes,
No,
sure.
no more watches.
I mean,
But
when you've
then
done something hundreds of times, it just gets you have to start making jokes about it because
sure,
it's
and
inevitable.
it's pretty fun. It's crazy. So let's see. What about some of your inspiring clients? Do you have any particular clients who have inspiring stories to tell about their transformation with tattooing?
Yeah,
I should probably prep
I'm
people with questions
sure.
like this.
I'm sure. I feel like that's probably a better question for the individual. It's harder to answer that question as far as like I'm not
Sure.
exactly sure how tattooing has affected them transformatively. But I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure that, from what people have told me, I'm sure that like some of the stuff that is most impactful would be like either cover ups, like reworks of, tattoos that people were less happy with, or scar, reworking. That type of stuff I think is like pretty significant.
People are very appreciative. Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
you do cover ups then, and are there any particular types of? I mean, obviously we could tell from your style, but well, I guess what's your perfect client, or what's that experience like?
I mean, I have a lot of great clients, so I don't know if there's a perfect one because I appreciate the individuality of people, and that's kind of what they bring is different ideas. And I mean, obviously, people being open-minded and trusting is really important because there's a lot you have to kind of let go of in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you are fairly specific about what you want, it somehow is never exactly, you still cannot anticipate what it's going to look like once it's on you, whether that's even like seeing final artwork or even seeing the artwork translated onto you is
Sure.
always a leap of, that you can't really imagine until it's there.
But
So
isn't at the base really like most clients and most ideas, and myself included, when I present my idea, none of the tattoos ever really, I mean, with the exception of the photorealism, never looked like what I was imagining in my head. And
right,
as a non-artist, like it's almost
right.
impossible for me to like figure out what would look best. I'm not an artist. And
Even even as the artist, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like until it's on a person. Like, and I'll typically do things in pieces so that they're more malleable. Like, I try to keep things a little bit more fluid, unless I'm doing like a flash or something that is like, I am doing this painting and it is done and you want this. If I'm working with somebody, I usually try to actually give them a good amount of flexibility as far as like, um, design elements or things we could use, because that's another thing, you sometimes end up with too much to fit or not, you need more to like fill in. So it's always open-ended until you're actually putting stuff places, and even like where you want to place something. Like, I like to have things, like I said, in pieces so that you can actually place the final composition is determined on the spot, where you're like putting the main elements at the best places on the body so that they contour more appropriately and they don't just like go on there like a sticker.
sure.
You know?
It was fun. I try to. I don't usually talk about my family much when I'm on here. Hold on. How do I do this? I think I fucked up my screen here a second. Did I? Sorry. Give me 2 seconds to get my control
Sure.
back here. Oh, I'm screen sharing. That's why it's crazy. But yeah, when my daughter came out to get tattooed by you not too long ago, it was fun because I'm been in tattoo world 25 years, and I'm
Right.
opinionated. Like, it's not like I'm
Of
not known for
course.
having opinions. I got opinions about everything. And but it was funny then. And my wife, is very smart. She's been around tattoos, since before she met me over 20, 22, 3 years ago. She was into tattoos before me. And
Right.
but everyone was like, Gabe, you gotta just let go. And I'm like, okay, no problems. And then to your point about the process of the of like placement and whatnot, and how it's very fluid. When you walked out of the room there, and I think I don't know if it was, I think it was probably Cecilia or whatever. She's like, I was thinking about maybe putting it right on my chest. I'm like,
right.
What? But I held my tongue. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to go through this decision-making process. I'm sure it's gonna end up exactly where it needs to be, which I was not imagining being there, but
Right.
And then Kim was like right off the bat, no fucking way. I'm like, whoa. She was like, wait, I can't believe that came out of my mouth. But it was, I mean, for, I'm all for people diving right in. But that would have been a pretty bold move, but she found the right spot for it. And but it was good. Again, but part of those decisions have to kind of come from the client, right? Because if, she got it on her back, but she was still envisioning it really on her chest, it wouldn't have been the right, she would have been regretting it potentially for the rest of her life.
Absolutely. Like, no, I do not want anyone to get anything that they're going to regret. Like, it's great that tattoo removal is, an option. It's, getting better. It's still not perfect. It's not like taking a piercing out. And even then you're going to have a scar, but I'm definitely, I prefer like a light touch with that stuff, like, and be sure before you move forward and like have a plan and think about it for a long time and then, execute the plan. But it's a lot to think about. So
have you gotten any lasering done?
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about lasering. Okay.
Lasering.
So,
it's pretty awesome. I wish it was easier and worked better. It doesn't, unfortunately. I've encountered situations where it's like tattoos can be very resistant, which I didn't think was really a thing. And not just like the different color spectrum, because I know that's an issue as well, obviously, but like even black ink, which is typically the easiest to remove, if it's sufficiently scarred into the skin, I think it has to do with the scar tissue, I think, prevents the laser from penetrating adequately or something. But for whatever reason, my friend was getting a piece lasered. I think she must have gone a dozen times and it lightened, but it was maybe like half what it was. She ended up getting a cover up that was so fairly like black line cover up, but it looked beautiful. So it was
but still it is crazy. Like the skin, I've lasered from my elbows down to my knuckles.
Wow, good for you.
A bunch. Well, it was so the story went like about 6 months before Guy introduced me to his first laser tech. I was thinking to myself, I know if I keep on this path, I'll eventually find a laser person, and I could lighten up my. And I had some black and gray. It was professional, but they were Albright Dürer woodcuts, right? So it was like I just had to get the angels off of me. First I put my Catholic school on my skin, and then I had to burn it off of me. Anyways, but before I burned it off of me, I'm like, I got impatient. And so I had it all colored in really awesome. So then, and then when the artist colored it in, like he relined it, reshaded it, and then packed the fuck out of all the color. And then 6 months later, guys like, hey, if you ever want to get lasered, here's my laser tech. And I'm like, oh, now I got all these colored angels. But eventually I did laser it all. And it's, after like 6 or 7 times of lasering the arm, and it was a full sleeve all the way around, Guy was like, stop lasering. It's probably going to affect the consistency of your skin at this point. And
it's still some damage, I think, that it's inflicting. I mean, it's, there's no perfect way, other than doing it right the first time, I guess.
Right. Well, to your point, like before, it's like, tattooing is one of these amazing spaces or arts where we're like striving for perfection in an imperfect medium.
Exactly.
And but so everyone like has to
and it's aging all the time too, and
completely
getting sun damage and everything else. So this is Kim. So she has the other piece as well. So this is the new piece.
Oh, okay. So this is the ribs. The other yeah, cool.
And it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Kim.
Happy birthday, Kim. Yeah, these are cool. Clearly I love all the birds. I've
thanks.
Got a fair amount of bird tattoos. Yeah. So cool. So was this one session, or did you do this in multiple sessions?
No, this is also multiple sessions. I think that we did. I think this is 2 on the top, on the bird and the branch, and then this is the first session on the feathers.
Okay. So these are all healed, and this is new.
I think I went over all of this. Is I did all of it in one go.
Yeah, kind of. Oh, yeah, cool. And how do your clients find you online, in person? I mean, imagine you've been tattooing 20 years, so it's a lot of referrals, or
A lot
and you
of, yeah, a lot of referrals. I mean, moving back here definitely slowed down the local referrals, obviously. So, but luckily I had people willing to travel and still do from Virginia, which I of course really appreciate. And then from all over too. So, I mean, the internet has definitely been a real game changer as far as, you know, your reach as an artist.
Although Buffalo
Yeah.
has always had some pretty awesome artists there, huh? I
Oh yeah.
remember
Yeah.
being there like 20 years ago, and Corey Cudney was
Yep.
there, and
Yep.
uh,
Amanda Walkup is from here
Amanda.
and was.
Oh yeah, she's great. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting scene. Buffalo is a little bit of a bubble as far as like that type of experimentation because it didn't really have a heavy tattoo scene that was sort of I don't know, gatekeeping or whatever, like
Sure.
the style, like sort of style policing it or whatever. Like Virginia is a really interesting city because it's always had, it was one of the first cities to have a tattoo convention, like one of the main tattoo conventions was there.
Right. Sure.
So it has a pretty sophisticated audience of tattoo collectors. So people had a very broad concept of what was possible there. I mean, this is way before the internet, obviously.
Yeah.
But there also was a very long-standing traditional tattoo community there that was a lot more entrenched, and everyone looked up to them. They were like, you know, the mentors and everything, and that kind of kept things from I mean, there was definitely a lot of you know, negative
Clicky kind of. Yeah.
feelings about like other like I definitely was kind of a, you know, an outsider for
Sure.
most people there. So, but of course now it's changing everywhere. But like, yeah, Buffalo was different because you had people like Corey doing no outline color stuff, you know, doing like doing white first and like going backwards from, you know, breaking all the rules, like whatever.
Sure.
From pretty early on. Yeah. So it's an interesting place here. It's different.
Yeah, I like there's a somewhat anarchy. I mean, I don't know if it's anarchy, but there's definitely like Buffalo's got this really unique set of energies where it's like people are just going to do it, you know, and
yeah,
it's like it's not quite 50, but like it's still kind of wholesome again, not wholesome, but like their friendliness. I don't know. There's like this real. It's like this very familiar friendliness matched with again the I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to do it. Who's going to stop me? We're Buffalo.
That is definitely the vibe here. I mean, I love that the character of the city is something that actually I always missed because it is like it is very like you got to do everything yourself. There's no one's going to do anything for you here. Like, so any scene stuff is generated, you know, I mean, which is true, I guess, anywhere, but like you can't like kind of fall back on like, oh, someone else is going to put a show on. Like you have to do it yourself. And like, if you want to see something, you have to make it. And then we have those like long winters where everybody's kind of, you know, holed up in their apartments going crazy, making weird art to get through it. And I think it's always had an interesting art scene, which I assume is some kind of outgrowth from New York City people heading this way, maybe at least like because we had some really good institutions like University of Buffalo and even Buff State. There's some really great art programs here, and particularly like I don't know, I would say like independent, like weirder, like outsider-y art, like. We had a really strong, like Cindy Sherman, like co-founded a gallery, like, and Hall Walls is a really interesting, like, alternative institution. Like, there's always been a really strong, like, gay community here, and like, it's just a unique, like, embracing of like the individual kind of city. So, I think that probably influenced everything about the culture here. And then also people are just kind of friendly. I mean, I think that they're really happy to see anybody, especially people who come here like to get tattooed by me, for example. Like they always tell me how easy it is for them to talk to people. Like they're just out at a bar and making friends like immediately. Because I think probably people are just like, where did you come from? Why are you here?
Yeah, right, sure. And then and again, like there's a shit ton of tattoos, a shit ton of tattooers. Like people seem to, you know, have embraced that part of it. It's cool. So let's shift into the next topic. Apprenticeships, learning to tattoo. I think we skipped that part of your story maybe. So
Yeah, we I think we glossed over that. No, I never got an apprenticeship,
yeah.
unfortunately.
So you
At
went
the
to
time,
just like tattooing out of your house, go straight to like a shop that just took you in, or?
no, yeah, it took me a long time, and I would say I wasn't even really professional till like I think '99. I got licensed,
Okay.
so it was a
4 years.
long time of like just kind of, you know, trying to figure it out on my own. Like I was in high school when I started, so I was
Mm.
like basically tattooing my friends.
Sure, sure. You know, it's everyone has to pay off their. You're building up that karma you had to pay off, right?
Right. No, there's
just have to cover it all up.
free way in. It's like, and obviously there was a lot. I mean, I'm sure apprenticeships are very hard, and probably it should be in a way. But I mean, no matter what you do, it's pretty hard because like that. I mean, I was reinventing the wheel,
Right.
you know, with a lot of it, just not knowing what the hell I was doing. I mean, it didn't.
I have to say, having watched a half a dozen successful apprenticeships, at the shops that I've been part of, if you have a supportive crew and a set of supportive artists, you could. I mean, there was an apprentice that learned 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And that was it. Doing the same type of tattoo. They weren't doing everything that walked through the door. They're doing like black work tattoos.
Right.
And I was like, that's fucking crazy. You could literally learn how to tattoo 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Fucking crazy world.
I know. To be honest, I'm definitely kind of jealous of like people who are coming up now compared to like when I was, because I mean, while I guess it was like a completely open field then, like where it can feel a little overwhelming now, I feel like, where everything is kind of being done and like it's hard to think of like things that are different to do.
Yeah. The floodgates are wide open.
There's also a little bit of a double-edged sword with the internet where like if you were to innovate something and put it out there, it's going to be a trend in a second if it's popular. You can kind of get buried in that without getting like sufficient credit for it or whatever. But
and then somebody else is the sticker person. You're like, no, you're not the sticker person. I was a sticker person. And there's like a person next door. He's like, wait, I think I did that first.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that works. But there's just so many more resources now, and there's no shortage of inspiration, and definitely like the inclusivity of everything, and people being able to fall into whatever they're comfortable with is awesome. And I love the idea of like, oh, if I could have just started tattooing, doing what I wanted to do in the first place, instead of like slogging through years of Flash and stuff that not even, I don't know, there's obviously some value to that, but I don't know if it's 100% artistic value.
Well, it's like the intention, right? Like, so that, and like, if you have a mentor, I mean, well, it depends on how long too, right? So if you're doing it for fucking years and years and years and years, when you only have to really do it for 2, because oh shit, I forgot what I was gonna say about that, but So just to wrap it up, do you have any advice that you would be able to pass along to people that are looking to land apprenticeships?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get an apprenticeship, and it's hard to give advice about that because it's an individual discovery process, and you basically have to either know someone or appeal to someone, and that's such an individual choice. I couldn't speak for anybody else, but in general, I would say that what I think would be the most valuable thing to do would be to do art all the time, have a really, really strong art portfolio that has a lot of the fundamentals of like drawing, drafting, draftsmanship, painting is good. Just like draw all the time, have a sketchbook with you all the time. The same thing that I would say for someone who wanted to get into illustration, and I was lucky enough to get some illustration education as well. And like working illustrators and working tattooers are in this very similar field. So you want to be able to make, it's about the impact of your image making, your mark making. You want confidence in your lines, you want confidence in your composition, and that can only come from like practice. And don't be like, you have to be a perfectionist ultimately, but you don't want that to inhibit your growth. You have to be able to make mistakes. And the best way to do that is to just do more, and like, don't be too precious with each piece. Like, let things be experiments, let things develop. The way that stuff works is like you end up looking back you know, you might have something in your head that you want to realize that you can't achieve or whatever, but like sometimes the process is more interesting and you end up with something that you couldn't even have conceived of that's actually better than whatever you imagined. And then wherever you get to, you end up looking back and realizing how far you've come, which is kind of, you know, also something you can't really anticipate. Yeah. But definitely don't give up. Don't take no for an answer.
No. Did you ever apprentice somebody? Would you ever be somebody's mentor?
I am reluctant myself because, I mean, really largely because I was never mentored. So it's kind of hard to imagine how you would do that appropriately without having had that experience. So because no one's ever explained to me exactly what they do, it's a little bit harder for me to explain what I'm doing because so much of it's intuitive. And it's therefore harder to, like, what are the rules? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just,
well, you know, I'm not sure that there's any crew of people that learned how to properly apprentice people so that they could properly apprentice someone else. I think everyone might just be making this shit up as they go.
And I know that they are, it's true, but I guess I just feel like I wouldn't feel like that was responsible or something. I don't know. Sure. I mean, not that I wouldn't, it would take the right combination of things, I guess, you know. I
mean, and that's a great answer. I mean, obviously it's a long commitment, you know. Where's your motivation to teach somebody else to tattoo if, you know, they're just gonna work at some other shop, or if you don't own a shop? Well, I mean, some people just do it for their friends, or
yeah, I probably would be more likely to, you know, want to do it with someone I already had a personal relationship with, but that's not exclusively true. I don't know. It's funny that you say that though, because like I don't think I've ever seen an apprenticeship situation turn out well in a way. Not that the apprentice didn't turn out to be an amazing artist,
sure,
or whatever, but like I'm pretty sure every apprenticeship I ever saw ended in some kind of heartbreak.
We have to do the video. I could be on either end of it, but the line that's like, Gabe, I will always appreciate the opportunity that you gave me and the 3 days that I worked here before I'm leaving. I'm like, you're literally quitting after 3 fucking days. Like, don't tell them you're going to appreciate this for the rest of your life. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, that's literally, but to your point, it does feel, I mean, I definitely observe a lot of different stories. So there are some that seem to work, but to your point, it's pretty tricky. And I mean, and I think at some level, I think everybody that enters those relationships understands that, you know, whatever.
I think it's hard because you have to let the person outgrow you and the situation. And sure. That's probably the same thing like being a parent or something. You have to let them go at some point. Yeah, right.
Well, I let my daughter go. But it's also like the I mean, there's also just a level of maturity sometimes, right? And I've watched apprentices that are 17 and 18 and ones that are like 40, you know? Yeah. And the 40-year-olds might, you know, have a more rigid framework, but they also have a lot more life experience, you know?
And they probably appreciate it a lot too, because it's a huge, you know, I think when you're younger, you don't have the sense of like context for, you know, how things play out. You know, you have a lot of anticipation for how things are going to go, but you're not like, you know, once you've lived that long, you're kind of like, okay. I mean, it's daunting, sure. I'm sure, though, to start over in a way, and like you have to start at zero.
I remember one of the apprentices was leaving and literally going like a half a block down the street. And, you know, I got it that they were pissed at me, but like the tattooer mentor was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, literally, like, there's like, just go to one town over even. Like, really? You're going to go to the closest shop that could possibly exist? You have to drive from your town to this town. Anyways. And again, part of it's like, you know, everyone's got their own story, but, you know.
That could be one for the drunk thing.
Oh yeah, no, I don't even. That's not even. I mean, it's not even that much of a story. I'm just thinking of like you know, you're obviously a great personality, great energies. It would be, you know, not that I ever want to encourage anybody to bring more tattooers into the world, but those tattooers are coming in anyways, and if they can get guidance from somebody like you, then you know that's better than not.
Yeah, I guess I like to be available for people, you know, like if people have questions and stuff, like I like to try to help people out for sure. It's just the responsibility of taking on someone, you know, that you're basically putting your name to, like, I'm going to take you under my wing. You're my, you know, I'm going to mentor you. It's just, it feels a little, I don't know.
Well, it is. Like it is daunting. It is a lot.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Let's see what else we got here. How about some travel advice? So, right now, right now, clearly, we've been, not traveling shit tons for the last 2 years,
Right.
but before then, do you have any particular advice or travel tips for tattooers or clients?
I really like to travel. I don't get to do it. Well, even before COVID, I didn't get to do it as much as I would like to. But it's wonderful to work at other shops and work with other people and just learn as much as you can from everybody that you're around and just see the way other people do things, see how they run their shops, experience different places and different people. That's an invaluable experience.
Yeah. What are some of the places that you've gone to, and are there any places you still want to go?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, maybe my favorite place is Barcelona. I'd really like to go to work in Barcelona. If anybody has a shop and want to do a guest spot, I would really like to do that. I've never worked out of the country though. I would like to branch out a bit more and be able to work overseas. I really like to go to Marcus's shop, Fox and Spider in Florida. That's one of my favorite places to work. I really like to.
Oh yeah, that's cool. He's right near the Dali Museum too, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No, yeah, it's awesome. Like I really like that area.
And he's a pretty sick tattooer too.
He's an awesome tattooer. Yeah, he's really inspiring. And I used to love to go visit Amanda in New York, and now she's in LA, so hopefully I'll get to go visit her out there.
Awesome.
Check out LA. I've never actually been there, so it'll be really cool to check out.
I've always had a surprising good time there, right? I mean, the farther north I get into California, the more I like it. San Francisco is more computer geeky, different. And Northern California is all weed. But when I was in LA, it was like it's weird because people can like kind of sniff out authenticity, and they're like, wait, you're like a real person who like says what you think. That's weird.
Yeah.
My favorite was, I mean, you know me, I'm definitely wicked hippie kind of and stylish, I guess, but all these really, decked out, nose hair picked, pruned, very well pruned and groomed LA people would be like, how did you get in here with flip flops? And I'm like, you realize that whole like gated thing is just all bullshit, right? Like, I mean, it's a bar, it's a club, like, but LA is pretty good. Like I said, it's pretty fun, and that'd definitely be cool to get out there.
A lot of cool culture out there, I think. So it'll be interesting to see all that. A lot of good art.
It's like the entertainment business, right? So we like to be entertained, but it is entertainment business. So it's like this, like,
yeah, that's somewhat. Well, I gotta go see it for myself for sure. I mean, and then I love doing Paradise. That was my favorite show, so I'm excited that that's going to come back.
I'm so excited to get back to Jiminy Peak. And when we started at started this year's event, it was only 100 people, in a room with masks. Mm-hmm. And then it started to open up. Like over the summer, there was like this glimmer of hope. It was like, wow, somehow America got its shit together and we're all getting vaccinated. Well, the rest, we want to kill each other, but we got vaccinated. And then all of a sudden it's like, no. But to the point, we planned the event to be, based on teaching, and discussion panels and all that. So, and webcasting. So the whole thing's being webcast. If people don't want to come, they could just webcast. And I guess this might be a good time to shift. Talk about your seminar a little bit. Speaking of teaching people.
Right. So I think it was really prescient of you to have it be sort of web-based as a plan, hopefully be able to have more, but it's cool that it's all going to be streaming. So yeah, so the class is going to be about mixed media, which is my main thing, I would include tattooing within that. But I like to translate mixed media artwork into tattooing and like explore how that does translate. So I'm going to talk about my process. I'm going to demonstrate an example of my process, and I guess try to go over as many different types of mediums as I can kind of easily do in one sitting, which will not include digital. I will include digital in terms of discussing how you can then take your final image and translate that through digital, like so you can break down your stencils and your parts, stuff like that. But this is going to focus on physical media and the creation of physical artwork, independent of the digital process. So yeah, so it'll be fun and interesting. I like to do stuff live, and
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm wicked excited.
I was just
People
gonna say,
been
I'm
asking about it.
I'm gonna try to do a time lapse either today or tomorrow. That's gonna be a little bit of a demo too. So it's like kind of
Awesome.
a taste of the thing. So yeah.
Perfect. I'm going to close out the show. I've got one of the other time lapses that you sent over to me. So after we close out the show, maybe I'll have maybe one or two more questions, and then I've got like I said, it's like 5 minutes. One of the birds, maybe from the virtual gathering, or I don't know, it's one of them. You do a lot of the time lapses, and are you on the TikTok and the Reels and all that, or?
I am now on the TikTok. I guess Reels. Yeah, I'm trying to do everything on Instagram mostly, but I do have a TikTok. I have like 20 followers. I've just started doing it. And I mean, the cool thing about TikTok is that it's not a job yet. I'm just kind of having more fun with it. So it's not all artwork. I think I only have a couple of pieces that are like tattooing or time-lapse artwork, but so I can still put like silly animal videos up. I'm not going to do anything. No, if anybody wants to see that, they're out of luck. So
wait, you're not going to do what? Sorry.
No dancing, no talking. That's not me. But there will be animals.
Awesome. It is fun. Like the digital editing tools that they have on those phones, almost can get me into it. But
yeah, I have gotten that's been what's gotten me into the editing, is being able to do it all on my phone, because I have some of those capabilities on the desktop, and obviously that's for professionals and sophisticated, but like. Sure. It's too much of a production, like getting into learning the programs, and like mobile is just so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, even just the process.
It's just basic what I'm doing anyway. Like if I'm doing, usually my time lapses are just watercolor painting, so it's a pretty simple tripod point and shoot, and then the editing is just basically speeding it up.
Awesome. I don't know if you do voiceovers for them, but one of the things about here's an experiment you should do, and I'm pretty sure you could probably do it with your phone editing. If you make like the 2-minute clip, and then put a 2 minutes of audio of you telling the story about it, my guess is that people are actually going to watch more of it instead of just skipping to the end. And but also that audio, like whenever I'm listening to a video that doesn't have some sort of audio story, like even just, music is better than nothing, but like, again, hey, this client came in and, or I guess if it's an artwork. So for this piece of artwork, I was inspired by, the bird that was outside of my window.
Right.
I don't know what it is.
I'm sure you're right.
Like,
I'm sure you're right. I think people do respond more, just like people, TikTok is mostly people talking into their camera, and I think that's what people respond to, is that like, personal connection. But I'm not real comfortable usually with that. Like I'm good with like this type of thing, like casual conversation, or even, teaching is fine. But like, it just feels weird to like I would talk to people in real life, but I don't feel like, it doesn't feel right talking into a camera about, and I also I don't know what to talk about. I'm like, I'm painting this leaf now.
Yeah, sure.
But I do music. I like stuff to be, cool. I think I'm a little more into like, music video type production, where it's just the audio is that, it's more all of an artistic environment rather than like, to me, so a lot of like the voiceover dialogue takes you out of it in a way.
Okay, yeah, I can see that too. And I mean, and certainly at the end of the day, always the artwork should really speak for itself. Like all of the videos, the marketing. No, I know, like just. I mean, and I found it with some of my own, my own videos, right? So I would do a lot of, some teasers, and I could just try to. I'd be at 1 o'clock in the morning, I just finish it up and let it be done. But then if I did the next one and I just said, hey, and again, I'm doing mostly. Well, there's content stuff too. Well, again, whatever it is, just should be engaging, and I'm sure it is. I don't mean to give you unsolicited critique when I haven't looked at the videos.
No, I appreciate it. And I think probably for most people to keep that in mind, I think that people want to connect with a person. I mean, that's the reason why like bands always have a front person, and nobody cares about the DJ. But
right, exactly.
I do.
Fun. Oh, speaking of DJs, so I got 2 more questions here. One is, Do you have any like what music do you like to listen to or do you put on for your clients? And maybe in particular, I have this long form music channel on the Tattoo Now YouTube.
Oh,
So
cool.
I
I
had
know.
like concerts and stuff. But anyway, so what do you have for music tips?
I mostly listen to electronic music, although I
Hmm.
do like a lot of different stuff. I like usually like kind of more obscure stuff.
No, let's hear it.
But when I'm working, I definitely like stuff that's instrumental. That's sort of my go-to is like I prefer stuff without vocals
Huh,
usually.
sure.
Um,
Do you have any particular titles or bands or people or composers?
uh, yeah, I like stuff that, it's not surprising that a lot of the music that I like is sort of audio collage style.
Uh-huh.
Like I like stuff that has a lot of different layers and textures in it.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
cool.
like I really like God, it's tough. It's tough. Like I think lately I've been listening to stuff that's a little bit more like sort of hip hop sample influence. Like I really like
Uh-huh.
Arca and I really like Dim
Oh,
Light.
that dim lights.
Dim Light, Dimlite, and Arca, Arca. Yeah, listen to a lot of them,
Oh,
and then, I love like Negative Land. That's a little bit more conceptual, a little bit less like background music, more like you have to actually pay attention to their work. But
oh,
I would say that's one of the most interesting bands,
awesome.
conceptual artists, musicians that I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
sort
cool.
of, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so do you have anything? Oh, let's see. I got some a comment in here from Kyle, who is an apprentice hopeful, trying to learn to be social again. it's uh, it's a tough one. So
Yeah.
he's an apprentice hopeful out in Los Angeles. Actually, speaking of Los Angeles,
All right. It's probably a good place to
it's
be.
a pretty good place to be. Let's see.
Yeah.
Melissa Sink also says hello. She can hear
Oh,
us just perfectly.
nice.
Cool. So, yeah, do you want to maybe wrap up any last
Yeah.
thoughts before I fire off this video?
Yeah, I mean, hoping that the people are able to attend the Paradise BYOB. I'm pretty excited about it. And hope people enjoy the seminar who are able to take it. And, that this is informative and entertaining somewhat.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And so let's see. So it's paradisebyob.com to register for the in-person seminar. And then if you go to courses.reinventingthetattoo.com, then you might have to click a link or two, but then boom, you can get the online webinar version. And if you find, I think the links are on your Facebooks, but do you update your website? Are you gonna be able to get the link on your website?
It's funny that you say that. I'm making a new website. So
Awesome.
hopefully I'll have that done by the end of the month. I'm switching over to Squarespace template because my old one is WordPress and it's a little and it's
You know,
it's kind of a heavy duty site because it was all connected to the gallery, which now isn't active. So I want to keep it up as like an archive and
cool.
maybe have the blog, but I want to try to finally separate my portfolio onto my own thing so that it's easy for me to update. And so
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
it'll still be
Cool.
the same. It'll still be theaduskin.com, but I will definitely be trying to put like the links and everything up on there.
Sweet. Cool. Well, hey, thanks again. This was fun. I was
Thanks.
very happy when you said yes a couple of weeks ago. And I want to thank you for the tattoo that you did on my daughter. She loves it. And it's definitely a hit. It really is amazing how I remember when I was first getting tattooed and hanging out at the tattoo shop, after like 2 or 3 years of hanging out at the shop, I'd see everybody get puffed up after they got their tattoos and they think they're tougher or whatever. I'm like, you're the same person, like beauty's only skin deep, right? Like, what the fuck? You're not any better because you got a tattoo. And then I'm like, oh, I feel a little bit better now that I got a tattoo.
Yeah.
And then like 4 or 5 years after that, I realized, wait, first they puffed up, they thought that the tattoo made them a better person, but then they became a better person.
Well, that's
And
cool.
so like the effect that, and you can imagine like the effect of somebody complimenting, you 2 or 3 times a day, just ultimately makes you more polite and happy because people keep complimenting you. Anyways, she's very happy. She gets a lot of compliments.
I'm so happy to hear that. It was really I love that.
Awesome.
She's great too. I hope she loves college.
So far so good, and
Cool.
she speaks teacher fluently, so awesome. Well, let me figure out how to. Oh, I'm going to feature myself here. I'm going to mute you. So you could hop off if you want to.
Okay.
Anybody that is still on, yeah, I'm gonna play a video here for Thea.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thank you. Okay, and here we go. Thea Duskin is an internationally exhibited mixed media artist who has been tattooing for over 20 years. She specializes in the adaptation of painterly styles of botanical illustration to tattooing. She ran Ghost Print Gallery, a fine art gallery and a tattoo studio in Richmond, Virginia, until 2015 when she relocated to Buffalo, New York, and is currently a resident there at the Parlor of Buffalo. You could find her complete portfolio at theaduskin.com. We are very excited to have her teaching a class at the Paradise BYOB on mixed media and how it adapts to tattooing. Modern tattoo composition is becoming heavily reliant upon the digital processes using Procreate. Now, while extremely useful and efficient, this approach can result in a stiff or recognizably computer-generated appearance. Reference imagery and mark making is far more limited by this method. Thea's intention is to demonstrate the value in developing work organically, allowing for more imagination and the artist's hand to be seen in the work. This does not preclude the use of digital tools, especially to assist in the final stages of adaptation to tattooing. While you may not have time to create a masterpiece for each project, this practice will foster the development of a more personal style. You can selectively develop signature pieces that will help you differentiate your voice, as well as accumulate a physical body of work. In this seminar, Thea will demonstrate various techniques and media that she uses to layer and to create a composition. The media will include watercolor, ink, acrylic, paper collage. Application will range from drawing and painting to printing processes. Illustration board will be the surface material. How physical media compares to digital collage and can be used in tandem with Procreate will be covered in this presentation, including translating pieces into a single image and adapting layers for tattoo stencils. As soon as you purchase the webinar, you will get the materials list, and yeah, so click on the buttons and do the things. This is going to be a very fun webinar. If you catch it live,